Thanks for tapping in with 95 South TV, hosted by Ikon and J, bringing you the best news and media through the efforts of the community. We interview nonprofit organizations, business owners, school teachers, spiritual leaders, and anybody who has an impact in the community that has a remarkable backstory. These professionals that we bring on this show has a story that will wow you, that will knock your socks off. And with that being said, we want you to tune in, keep it locked. We want you to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Be a dedicated listener. Come in, and if you require to do an interview, you can definitely reach out to us at 95southpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for your ongoing support. Your support is needed. It's appreciated.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Ikon. And we on 95 South TV once again. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity because without him, it would be no us to be able to have these great platforms to have great people on this show. So, yeah, I'm saying. So first and foremost, I want to introduce my girl at the top on the top of the screen up there, our newest co-host. She like on her rookie deal. She like newbie and all that for freshman year, what I mean, in college or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We got the girl Taaylor Thomas in the building. What's up, Queen?
Hey y'all, what's up? What's up?
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here, guys. I'm here. I
Okay.
promise you I'm here. Okay.
You good, you good, you good. At the bottom of the screen, I got my right hand man, my Pippin to my Jordan, my Wade to my Braun. You know what I'm saying? Your baby mama favorite host. You know what I'm saying? Jacob Great in the building. What's going on, family?
Oh man, blessed to be in the land of the living, my brother. There's a lot going on in the world. And so, I just say there's lessons in my blessings and I'm gonna stay blessed by the best. So let's get
No
into it.
doubt. No doubt, no doubt. So go ahead and introduce this queen, man, so we can get this thing popping.
Well, I come, man, I usually introduce people, man, but she got so much going on. So I'm gonna let her formally introduce herself to the audience and to us.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Hope y'all had a great Sunday thus far. I am Cherrie McRae. Most call me Cher, and I am an entertainer, mostly being an actor, primarily an actor. I'm also a writer, director, and producer with my own production company, Written Right Pictures, and I am happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let's get into your journey and your story. So, you do so much. So where did the you wanting to, be on the big screen start for you? Becoming an actress, a writer, or director? Like when did that start for you?
Um, I technically started out in radio. I started out in radio in my adulthood, and then I transitioned over to television hosting, and then I transitioned over to film and TV. So my official start was 2001, where I was just minding my business. I didn't ask to become a part of the industry, but I had a coworker of mine. This was back in my college days, and we both worked at Claire's Boutique, which many of you all know. You go in there, or your daughters or your nieces, whomever, and you want some accessories. So I used to work at Claire's many moons ago, and my colleague, she was an actor. However, I didn't know that. I just knew that she would rush into work late and she would rush out of work like she had somewhere to go. And I said, "Girl, well, where are you rushing off to? And why are you always late?" And so, unbeknownst to me, she was an actor and she invited me to a studio. I didn't know anything about acting at the time. I was so green, so brand new to it. But I went. She said, it's just a group of us getting together. We have a fun time and, we get together and we tape this show. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. Just my young adult mind was like, that sounds fun. Okay. Not thinking that one day I would be a part of it. So fast forward to when one of the actors got sick. And they asked me if I can memorize a set of lines. And I said, well, wait a minute, what set of lines for what? You're an extra body on set. We need to tape, and we need to tape right away. And so, just because I actually am a person that's very spontaneous, I'm a person that can lose inhibitions. I said, well, I'll try anything once. And so once just became a whole season of the show. So that's my official start.
Okay, so man, that's great. But you was in radio first, a radio personality.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that transition from being in radio to becoming an actress, then hosting television events. What was that transition like for you?
Well, the transition, well, radio is just you're having to be animated anyway. I mean, when I did the radio was way back when, but I had to keep the attention of my audience during traffic hour. So I was at the 6:30 hour for a particular radio station, and didn't have any type of live feed or a monitor. It was just strictly my voice. And so I was just very captivating, animated. That's just a part of my personality to begin with. And so that actually turned to a couple of guests that came to the show. They asked me if I ever considered acting. And I said, I gave everybody the same spiel. I said, yeah, I did that back in early 2000s. And it was just, being a young adult, being fun and, the spontaneity of it all. But I said, oh, that's behind me now. And so they suggested that I try it, didn't try it. I said, kind of like where I am right now, like to sit behind this mic and just talk to my listeners. And so that actually transitioned into television hosting because I was invited to co-host. One of the guests on my radio show was a producer for an up-and-coming TV show. And the co-host had twist her ankle at a Publix marathon in Disney or Orlando. And so they said, hey, here we go again. Hey, would you be interested in dot, dot, dot? So I'm like, okay, what do I have to do? And so was just, on the wing of a favor, just end up going to the studio. And that actually transitioned into me doing film and TV because, of course, you have a teleprompter for television shows. So this particular show that I was co-hosting, they always have a point of the show where it's closing remarks, but even those closing remarks are scripted. This particular time, the host went, he did his closing remarks, and then I had to do closing remarks. And it got to the point where I was in the middle of my closing remarks and the teleprompter got stuck. And I said, oh boy. So this is where I had to just kind of come up with my improv, come up with my, just what is something that is uplifting to the people that I would just tell anyone. And so I realized that it got stuck, but I didn't have that. I didn't have it showing my eyes because, of course, the camera is down the barrel right there in your eyes because you are telling an audience of viewers, just to motivate them, empower them. And that's just your closing of the show. And so it stops and it kind of skids across the screen. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh Lord, oh Lord. But I'm just kind of like that duck where I'm paddling like hell underwater. But of course, on top of the water, you got to be smooth. You got to be poised. And so I just kind of made up my own, little ending where I didn't have the words. And from that, the producers was like, yo, what how did you come up with that? How did you know to do that? And I said, well, I didn't want to ruin the show. This was an amazing show. And I just had to think quick. I've always had to be, especially in radio, you don't have a full outline, or sometimes you don't have a full, scripted segment. And sometimes you gotta get in there in that open space. You can't just have it be open space. You gotta fill the space. And so I just always been like in my head, just always come with a plan B, always come with something in your back pocket. And so from that point, it was just, whoever was actually on that set were, they pretty much word of mouth was telling someone else. And I think my very first project was a horror project coming back into the industry. And I think it's Johnny Did We Get One, but it was a horror film. And my role was a news reporter. And so, you see the alignment with that, how it's kind of like trickling from, something that's kind of like what I do in real life. But of course, it's scripted. And so that's my first little, dip back into the pond.
Okay. So that's great. So they just throwed you out there, in the river and said swim, and then you had to come up with a very spontaneous closing that
Uh,
wowed people. So kudos to you for that. Now, being in this type of industry, there's a lot of challenges and obstacles that you have to overcome. So, what is the most challenging thing that you had to overcome? Being in this film industry.
the most challenging thing is not taking no's personal. Um, you just can't take it personal. You can't, I know a lot of my colleagues are like, how do you take, as my dad would say, a licking and keep on ticking is, you just have to realize that um, their rejection towards you is not a it's not because they know you. It's because of aesthetics. It's because of a myriad of other things. Maybe you're too tall, maybe you too round. It's so many different things, that maybe nepotism. There are so many things that go into a no. So if you do not, wear your heart on your sleeve, and you understand what it is that you came here to do, one man's no could be five men's yes. And so you have to just kind of take it with a grain of salt. You have to realize, if you say you in this thing, you're not in it. There's nothing conditional about why you're doing what you're doing. You have to ultimately know why you're doing it, to what extent you're doing it, and you just got to kind of keep the naysayers out your ears. And so, yeah, so my answer to that question is just don't take the no's personal. And that can be,
Okay.
applicable in life too.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So, before I hand it over to Queen Taylor, I do want to say this. When I received the PDF file from you, your biography, I sent it to all the co-hosts. I read it and I sent it to the other two hosts that's on panel. So, with that being said, Queen Taylor, yeah, she did a little bit. She did too much, man. Whew, I said, "Woo, have mercy, man." She did, some of any and everything, and have told me a lot. So, with that being said, Taylor, go ahead and do your thing.
Mhm.
The
Go ahead,
crazy
Tammy.
part is it broke up so bad that I couldn't even hear what you said, King Jacob, and I'm upset because I couldn't hear. It broke up. You sounded like a robot
I
for a
said,
minute.
okay. I said that I sent everybody her bio, so and she's been a little modest of everything that she's done. So, with that being said, go ahead and do your thing and ask what you want to ask.
Um, so was like before, so I heard you say like whenever how you became into the acting, working in Claire's. So was that like it was that a thing whenever you was younger to be inspired for like when you was younger, did you say I have a dream of being an actress? Or what did you have a dream of being?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Did
I'm
you
saying, did you hear the
did you
question?
No, what was the question? I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
it's okay. So when you was younger, I know the story about how, you became an actress and or actor. Was that always your dream as a kid? Like, or did you want to be a teacher? Did you want to be what did you want to be? Did you just aspire? Did they even come across your mind at all? Like, I want to be a leader, or anything, because you're giving leader vibes, okay?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
anybody who can freestyle when a prompter stop, my hat goes off to you, because you can make anything look good. You know what I'm saying? And so, what was always your dreams and your aspirations when you was younger?
Well, I would tell you, when I was younger, I started running track and field at 5 years old. Like, my parents put me in so many things because I had so much energy. And my mom was like, we got to get, because, we're not going to have you jumping around this house like crazy. And so, although I attended school, I just still had a combustion of energy. And so by nature, I was actually very athletic. I was a tomboy. I started track and field at 5. And then shortly thereafter, I got to junior high and I played volleyball, basketball, softball. It wasn't until high school that I ended up playing all 4 sports, which was volleyball, basketball, softball, and track. And so I was pretty athletic, and I was en route to an athletic scholarship for high school. And that being basketball. And so my goal was, got out of my when I graduated from high school, I wanted to go on to do sports medicine. So that was my thing. I was like, if I'm not playing in the WNBA, I am going to be working on the WNBA players. Like, I'm
Okay.
going to be doing the physical therapy and all the things that come with sports medicine. I'm going to work with Health South. And I just had it all planned out. So acting definitely wasn't on the radar at all. Um, but I can see in hindsight why I have chosen acting, in my young adult years, because I was a part of a family that everybody was rambunctious. Everybody was very outspoken. I had aunts and cousins that were much louder than I was. Actually, younger, I I would say that I was bootleg soft spoken. Like, there was something in me, but it was so many other people overpowering my voice that I didn't see the need to speak up because everybody else was speaking up. So, they were loud, they were assertive, they were in your face. And so I just would sit back in the pocket. Um, but it wasn't until I got a little older, and I think I kind of, had my own experiences in college, that I found my voice. And a part of finding my voice was saying, "Hey, mom, hey, dad, I don't want to major in bio pre med. I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do that." And then, my family gave it to me too. My family was like, "Wait, what? Where did all this come from?" I
Mhm.
mean, it's not even sports. You're talking about acting, and you're talking about theater, and you're talking about all the other things, all things artistry. And so I don't think anyone saw it coming. But if I really had to look back, I was just probably the one that was wanting to go the extra mile with creativity, not just plan an event, but like, let's just make a program and just do this and that, and we can do that, and like, just very meticulous with planning and making it a show and a thing. And everybody was like, "Child, you get those tablecloths and put them over there, and we gonna go to Dollar Tree, and we gonna do this, we gonna eat, we gonna go home." And I was just like, okay.
Yeah. So, whenever, like, when your first, offer came across, how was that for you? Like, overall, like, how was that for you? Being nervous and like, oh, I prayed for this, but I didn't pray for this.
Mhm.
Like, how was that overall feeling?
Uh, I would say there was, okay, so it's a two-part. There's an unofficial and there's an official offer. So I would say my unofficial offer was just on the strength of, like I said, with the producer that I knew. And I had, I came through the first project, the horror film, through someone that I knew. So there was nothing really official about it because I didn't have an agent, I didn't have a manager like I do now. I just was like, okay, I'm trusting that this project is gonna go far, and it ended up showing in theaters. So that was on just trust, like nothing signed, no documents, just like, okay, he referred me, he says that I'm good, and I'm gonna just show up at this address, and they're gonna just put a camera in my face, and I'm just gonna, when they say action, I think I just say what I learned. Okay. and then um and then the official, oh, if I could think back to official, um man, oh, okay, so my official, um which I think everybody came through the reenactment phase, but my official was on TV1, and it was a reenactment. I don't know if it was Snapped. It was a bunch of them, but my first one that I booked, I remember at the time I had a huge vacation planned to Sandestin, and we did the works. When we had the villa, we had everything mapped out. And I remember this was in the beginning stages of me saying 100% yes to acting. So I was like, okay, let me submit. And I didn't have an agent or a manager, but I did have Actors Access, which is a platform many actors on here would know, where you can either submit yourself, or you can have other people submit on your behalf. And I remember this enactment show that I had submitted for. I didn't know anything about booking. I think this was like me just putting out a bunch of submissions and not getting anything back. Meanwhile, on the personal side, we were all planning a vacation, um, and taking about a week off of work or whatever we were doing. And I remember auditioning for it, and I didn't think anything of it. Couple days later, we were packing up, getting ready to go, and lo and behold, I get the email saying that we want to book you. And I was like, "Oh Lord!" I was like, "What does this mean? Book me?" So, I asked a couple friends that I was in acting class with, because that was my community at the time. I was in class, and I took it and I said, "Okay, I got this email from this production company, and they're saying that they want to book me." And so they helped me read through all of the breakdown, which is what you look at to see the what, the when, the wheres, and the whys. And they said, "Oh, they want to hire you for this job." And I said, "Oh, what? They want to hire me? They want me? Oh my God, I should have answered yesterday. I didn't know what it was." And it's this huge delay. They may think that I don't want it. So we read through and they said, "Yeah, this is the project. This is the director, the producer. This is what it is. Oh, it's a reenactment show. Oh, that's pretty good. This is how this goes." And just giving me the rundown. And these are the dates. So I said, "Oh, okay, okay, cool. So that's that. Okay, wait, those are the dates? Ah, though, like when you say the dates, what do you mean the date?" And it's like, "Well, this is when you get there when you have to shoot the project." So I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm supposed to be in Sandestin. And so I'm taking so much brain power to kind of put together this explanation as to why I can't go to like this $1,500 pre-planned trip with all the works. And it was so important. Like it was nervous. I was so nervous to kind of tell my family like I couldn't go because of this thing. And this thing only paid this much. It wasn't even a lot of money per day. I think it was like $125 a day. And I was on set for 3 days, in comparison to going on this lavish vacation that we were waiting all year for. So that was like the first encounter of officially like contracted, we want you. And I was just like, how do I explain? So I end up having to tell everybody, "Well, I'm gonna meet y'all in Sandestin, but I gotta go to Knoxville." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, you gotta go to Knoxville. Knoxville for what? What's going on in Knoxville?" And I said, "Well, I kind of sort of booked the show, and I got a report to set da, 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 da." And so when I tell you, everybody was so upset. They were like, "Well, go do whatever you feel you need to do. If you want to throw away money, then you throw away money." So long story short, I end up heading to Knoxville instead of Florida. And it ended up working out because I did have a family member that ended up meeting me halfway, and then shot down to Florida. But that's how important I realized the very beginning of something that was brewing. That's how important that this snowball was starting to build. And I was like, what is this feeling of enthusiasm and excitement? And just it doesn't even pay a lot. But I was like, just the fact that it's not about the money. It was just about like I booked something, like I did it on my own. And so that was my first official signing of a contract, like we're doing this. And when it aired, I will tell you, because it took some time for it to air, my episode, but when it did air, everybody that was talking junk about Sandestin was like, oh, that's you? That was you? Oh, that's what you did? When you couldn't come straight to, Florida. And so the feeling was exhilarating, to say the least. And that's how I knew, if I could find a way to feel this way every time, like if I could just bottle this feeling, I would bottle it and just sell it, because it's such a high, And I said it's more to this than just memorizing lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Girl. So, like, I'm just sitting here. I don't have any more questions for you. I'm gonna pass it over
Okay.
to Ikon, but I will say that, girl, you are a superstar. Your energy is
Thank
so
you.
bright. Like, you got so much more coming for you, and I see it and
Aw.
feel it, and it makes me excited that knowing that, because you went with what what you was doing, that you kept going
Mhm.
and didn't let anything discourage you from what you wanted to do. But you have
Yeah.
so much more coming for you, Miss McRae. So
Aw,
I just want to
thank
tell you that,
you.
and I'm gonna pass that over
Okay.
to Ikani.
Mm. Okay, okay. I mean, she alright. She alright. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. No, but I do want to say this. So, because I understand exactly what happened to you in radio. Because I did internet radio back in 2012. And I'll
Oh.
tell y'all a quick story. So I created my own show at that time, and I was supposed to do it with one other person. The day before, he fell out of the situation. So I was like, oh man, I got to find a co-host, because at the time I wasn't confident enough to do it by myself. So
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine that I knew that he said he did radio back in Texas, because I'm in Atlanta, and I called him. I said, man, I'm doing this radio show, and I just need for you to fill in for me the first episode. So
What
he's
part?
like, all right, cool, where I need to be. He showed up. Now, his rap name was Ikon Mashan. My
Mm.
stage name, or whatever you want to call it, radio name, is Ikon E. So a friend gave me that years before that. That's how it came about. A friend named me that nickname with me playing around or whatever. And so the day of the show, he was like, well, we can't both be Icons. So he said, I go with my AKA, Mr. Wowzers. So when we get on air, and if you notice in the beginning with the way I say Icon E, it just came out the way it came out. I wasn't
Mm.
playing. I didn't practice it. That's the way it came out. And so it became one of those things where he like looking at me, and he said his name, and then it kind of stuck. So for 13 years, when I introduce myself, I introduce myself that way. And that's like my moniker. That's my brand. I even had a kid
Mm.
call me up a couple of weeks ago and say, bruh, what you doing? I was like, what you mean? He said, the way you say Icon E, you have to say it with that enthusiasm every time. And I said, man, I've been saying it for so many years. I probably don't even know when I'm not saying it the same way. He said,
Yeah.
well, I'm telling you, you're not saying it the way you need to say it. He said, that's your brand. I need to hear that enthusiasm every time.
Mhm.
You know what
Period.
I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so I said, okay, all right, cool. So I'm back overemphasizing the E again, because of him, calling me on that. But I understand what you mean, where something happens in radio sometimes, it's not planned. It just happens that way.
Mhm.
Whether it's an interview you're doing and it goes a certain way, you like, I ain't see that coming. You know what I'm saying? And now you
Mhm.
have to go with it, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. Sometimes you just got to go with whatever the energy is in the
Mhm.
room, as long as it don't get out of hand, just to kind of
Mhm.
like keep that interview going. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So while I'm on subject, what is that one interview that you did have? Give me two of them. Give me the good one that you didn't expect, and give me that bad one that you like. Oh, I definitely wasn't expecting that.
Well, I would say good and indifferent because all of my hosts were all of my guests were handpicked. But I would say if I had to say a good one, I would say um a guest that has something to really truly offer the audience. Like, sometimes people will come on a platform and it's all about this is what I do. But it was just the way in which it was a two-part, the way in which I sent her the questions, just kind of like the pre-game her on what the questions would be, and then how we just kind of bounce back and forth like, sis, I want to infuse some of these questions to help your audience. And I was like, okay, dope. Like, let's go, let's do that. And so when we got on officially on air, it was such great synergy. She didn't over talk. It was even some nuggets that I was able to take, away. And in between commercial segments, we were just talking and we were just engaging. And she said, you know what? I also want to add this and I want to add this too. So take that question out, if you don't mind. But I think that this would better serve your audience. And I was like, wow, I think it was just such a tag team situation where a guest could really understand and sit in the seat for about 40 minutes, deal with the commercials and have just as much zeal about your listeners than you do. And so that was a really, I would say that was a time that was a segment that escaped me. It was just, I didn't want it to end. And then there was a segment that was indifferent. I think it was a rap artist. And he was a peculiar young man, but I can tell he didn't really have any PR coaching because a lot of the questions that were pre-approved, because we would send the questions ahead of time and say, if any of these questions are too intrusive, let us know, this, that, and the other. And there was a green light on all the questions. He gets on air and I'm asking the questions and it's just a lot of, nah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's my boy, right? That's my boy. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, what is happening in my studio? I was like, and so you could tell he just didn't have the tact for it. He just wanted, it was just something to check off the list. I guess it was so many people coming at him, and it was like, yeah, I'll come on your little show, and yeah, little mama, what you want me to talk about? First of all, ain't nothing little about me. That's first of all, young man. And then two, it wasn't really engaging. It was like I was having to pull teeth to say, give me a full subject verb agreement sentence. Give me something. And so that would be a interview that I would say was a little indifferent. That was a very difficult 45 minutes to get through. But I made the best of it because, I just said, I'm not going to make this harder than what it needs to be. I'm just going to join his team, and however he talk, I'm going to just roll with the punches. And so if he wants to go off grid and talk about his, upcoming shoe line or his apparel and all like stuff that didn't have nothing to do with his music, I said, okay, well, we're going to do this because guess what, guys? We're going to get through this. And one thing about your engineer is you can just have one little wink through the window and they understand. Everybody understand the assignment. Let's get through this thing. So it was a lot of communication with, my team, and then just kind of tying it with a nice little bow and sending it on its way, because we don't want the audience to think that there's anything jarring about what is taking place. Like, we want to be able to feed them something. And so, you always check the numbers afterwards, and just the viewership, and it was good because I think we put his name first in bold, but I don't think it was good as far as being able to actually captivate. Like, he wasn't captivating. He was just
Yeah. But see, you better than me. Because I would have ended it 15, 20 minutes in. I'm like, yeah, okay. So appreciate you coming on. Yeah. You got any social media you can throw at us or whatever? I would have ended that thing so quick. Yeah, soon because I had when I was doing, I had two. When I was doing radio before, I had one with this artist named Kibo Gotti, and he used to run around with Waka Flocka, and
oh,
he had so much. It was crazy. That story was crazy because he walked in for 2 hours. We had a 2 hour show at the time, and he was on
okay.
it the whole 2 hours telling his story about him and Walker.
Oh,
And
wow.
they end up somehow along the way, all the stuff got erased or something. I don't know if our producer, the owner of the station, ended up throwing it out because it was going to be very controversial. You know what I'm saying? Because
Oh,
it was basically exposing some stuff that we were just sitting there like intrigued. And then I had this one young lady. She was an artist too, and she was like a neo soul type artist, and everything
mm,
she was kind of like, "Oh, I can't. I'm not gonna answer that. I'm not gonna answer this. I'm not gonna answer that." Because we don't. I don't go in with pre-white questions. Somebody called me. I even
mm,
told Benzino. Benzino, when I told him I was gonna have him on the show, well, can you send me over the questions. I said we don't do that because first of all, we're not here to try to expose you. So I'm not gonna
yeah,
talk. I ain't gonna ask you about your daughter. I'm not gonna ask you about certain stuff anyway because I'm not gonna get into your personal life. If you want to bring it up, you bring it up. But we
mhm,
don't do those pre questions because I don't do that cookie cutter mess. You know what I mean?
yeah.
We're gonna come in here, we're gonna talk, and then whatever happens, happens. So I do now when you talked about your show, your first show, I looked at your bio and I'm gonna see if this is when you're talking about because you said Snap, but my favorite show that you had is Fatal Attraction.
Yes,
So
that's what I don't know why I couldn't remember that. I did so many of them.
There's a difference.
huh?
Well, so they're
You said what's the
all
difference?
No, I
yeah,
said there is a difference.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
there's
here's
a
a difference. It's a
difference.
big difference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
but
is a difference. I could not think of it, but that was actually my favorite segment because a lot of those fatal attractions, especially the ones where I was the lead in, a lot of them you actually really you met the real family members that it happened to when
mhm.
to kind of help you with the emotional, aspect of it. And one of those took me out. Like, I was like,
Okay,
this
tell me which one. Tell me which one, because that's one of my favorite shows, by the way. I'm
is
just gonna
it?
tell you, Jacob. I don't know what's going on with his feed, his thing, but Jacob will tell you I love me some Fatal Attraction. So tell me
Okay.
which one you talking about. So I'm see if I
The
watch that.
the one that got me super choked up was where the boyfriend strangled the girlfriend to death and left the baby behind, which I was like, this really happened? Like, he strangled her while the baby was in the carrier in the living room. And he let himself in the house, broke into the house, went into the bedroom where she was, strangled her to death, and then just completely walked past the baby and the carrier and left. And that was his kid. And
Mm,
so she's of course she's in the bedroom deceased, and no one found her. I think someone ended up finding her because they kept calling and calling and calling. Eventually they went over there, but that poor baby sat in that carrier with soiled diaper, crying, crying, crying to the point where the neighbors were like, this child has been crying for hours. What's going on? You know,
mm,
and just abnormal behavior. And so that one kind of got to me because her mom was actually on set making sure we told it correctly, and she
mhm,
told us, just between her and her other daughter what that day even felt like. And it was I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, to have to
yeah,
find your daughter deceased and then your grandbaby, don't
mm,
have a
okay,
mom. And then the dad, he off somewhere nobody can't find where he was. um I think an arrest came much later when they found him, but yeah, he fled the scene and got lost, got missing for a minute.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one before. Well, Jake, I'm gonna let you jump back in. I thought they had kidnapped you or something. I didn't know what was going on. You know what
Man,
I mean?
I was ready to go live. I don't know why you can see me.
We could when that's coming up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, okay. Well, since y'all talking about radio, I have some interesting stuff to say about radio. Before I became King Jacob, I was I was Jacob Jr. baby mama favorite radio host, and I used to have these women call in, right? And and so I would be out, in a club or in a lounge or something. They say, "Oh, so you the baby mama favorite radio host, huh?" And so these dudes start me mugging me. I'm like, "What I do to the dudes?" You know what I mean? I'm just the baby mama favorite radio host. And so the the program director said, I said, "So you want me to stop saying that?" He said, "No, no, man. You got people calling in left and right. It ain't your fault that they baby mama like you." So, radio can get you in trouble sometimes. But and then you have these artists that may come on the radio and you want to ask them about music licensing and publishing and do they understand the breakdowns and to agreement,
You're breaking up.
and
Yeah, breaking up. We can't
you
hear
get
you.
me?
Man,
No.
Jack, you got spectrum, man.
Yeah, no. It's
Yeah.
sound like it's like you're school diving over there. They got spectrum. Why you gonna throw spectrum under the bus like that? There you
Why
go.
don't throw spectrum under the bus like that? There you go.
Oh man. Oh man. All that we
You
can
hear
hear,
me
but
now?
yeah, we can hear you now.
All right. So it used to be these artists come on radio, right? Manager would definitely, say I need him on radio. So I said, okay, I give artists a chance. So, and then when you ask them about publishing and music licensing and stuff like that, they was like, I don't know. I just got my music on SoundCloud and Bandcamp.
Mm.
And I'm like, so anybody ever talk to you or nothing, or you never try to learn it? I just try to perfect my craft. So, but how you gonna perfect the craft when you don't really understand how you can get paid? Like I just never understood that. When it comes to art, music and things of that nature, and so and I'm like you, Ikon. All right, man. I thank you for coming on. Give you things out so people can tap in with you because by that time, it's like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And so it's really not a great interview, but anyway, so tell me about you working commercial gigs.
Oh, okay. We missed that last part.
Tell me about you working commercial gigs.
Yeah. You could might have to come. We might have to go out and come back in. I don't know because we can't hear you. Uh, so while he doing that, I was gonna ask you a quick question about
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood, about being in Hollywood, because we know right now it's really tricky. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And because even early today, I seen something where they getting rid of the BET of Hip Hop Awards and Soul Train Awards, and so I'm like, okay, they trying to erase Black history at this point. You know what I mean? So as being a Black woman, and we know when you watch TV, you watch movies and stuff, it's the same Black people every time. You know what I'm saying? And nothing against the ones that's out there, but they've been around for 30, 40 years, the same ones. So how is it, how hard is it to try to transition and how to be able to, you know, make your footing in the game, being a Black woman, especially in this business, and we know how hard it is for Black women to stay relevant and rise up.
Well, I think there's more to the industry than Hollywood. There's just so many different facets to it. I, for one, I feel personally, just any Black person of color, anyone Black or brown, you're gonna just definitely have some opposition. And it's not in all cases. Like you do have some productions out there who, one of which Ava DuVernay, which is, I absolutely loved her. I worked for her years ago. And I really applaud her efforts with Queen Sugar because it's melanated people on that show. And again, that was on the OWN channel. So I feel like it should sometimes be, for our people, by our people, because Oprah owns that. She owns that network. But it's sometimes Hollywood will have to get the memo on the back end, and that's okay. But you just continue to create. You can only control what you can control, which is I'm going to always stay ready and not get ready, which means I'm going to be in my classes. I'm going to upkeep, aesthetically, I'm going to upkeep myself. I'm going to make sure that my package is together. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can. I may not have public relations, formal public relations, and have things that are always on some type of, maybe Good Morning America, or, um, the Portia Williams show, all the things that come along with, your formal PR. But I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to continue to create because, I feel work begets work. So when you speak of Hollywood, I think that that's always been, for me, just a non-Black cultural thing. When you say Hollywood, or you say La La Land or Los Angeles and all the things, like aesthetically, I'm not built for LA. I'm more so built for the Southeast, because I'm just going to come with a different build. I'm going to come with a different sauce, flair. Like I have my own vibe, and it may not fit into the box of Hollywood. But I do know and I understand that people lie, numbers don't. And so if you're a part of something that brings in an extreme, jaw-dropping quantity of numbers, viewership, then they'll come to you, when they feel that is advantageous to them, they will come to you. And sis, bro, when they do come to you, my fellow creatives out there, you make sure you already have what you deem your worth is, and you negotiate at the table, because of, again, is more business than show. And so if you understand what, I always say, don't ever try to you know it's a saying that I have, like, don't try to get rid of the leopard spots. Like, just see it for what it is, and then you just focus on what you have control over, and you work, you keep your head to the plow, and then when everybody else want to catch on, then they can catch on, and best believe when they do catch on, I'm gonna have my team in line, my entertainment lawyer, my agent, my manager, all the things lined up where she's done this, and this, and this, and she's not getting anything below this, below scale, below whatever. And I think that that's just really how you have to kind of play the game. And especially more so being an African-American female in the industry. Unfortunately, we are at the bottom of the totem pole, and there's colorism involved. There's nepotism, there's all the things that happen that we want to sweep under the rug. But again, because hindsight for me, I'm a person of a high belief, higher belief than faith, higher belief in universal law. And I feel that whatever you focus on will magnify. So I don't focus on they don't want me. I don't focus on that I don't fit in. I don't focus on joining their table. I'm too busy building my own table, and the people, and I'm going to go where the love is. So I'm going to focus over here where the love is, and that love and energy, even if what I say, across enemy lines, even if they over there looking like what they got going on, Yeah, it's a lot going over here, but if you come over here, we gonna play, but we, pretty much it's gonna be according to my rules because you come in asking me for, for my goods. And so that's how I kind of look at it. I am not, um, if I died tomorrow, not reaching top tier of the Hollywood ladder, I would be okay because I'm just a person that's really, really truly rooting and cheerleading and championing the craft. Like I want to be someone who does this with my eyes closed and I can dig my heels. There's not a lot of reach, there's not a lot of phoniness or fakeness. I'm just trying to serve the best way that I can serve to whatever section of the world that I'm serving in. And then if all the other things are added onto me, cool. If not, cool. You know, it's just, I'm one that really just rolls with the punches. But I also not I know my worth. So that's very important.
Okay, well, if anybody don't have nothing else, I hate we can have you longer tonight because we definitely
Okay.
have to bring you back for a second interview. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause we only got like the appetizer and the salad. We ain't even really get into the dinner and the dessert.
Can I just say,
So because you got so much going on in your career, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, good lord. So we ain't even tapped all the way in. So I don't know when you free again, but I guess you'll get with Jacob and we'll bring you back
Yeah.
on. So we
please?
definitely got to finish up this conversation.
Yeah.
Um, definitely. So, I like your energy and I like everything that you got going on. And I love to see my black queens
Yeah.
thriving. You know what I mean? Because I always like to see new faces, get their opportunities. I mean, yeah, all right, but I just, at the end of the day, I had to hit you with that one more time. But
Thank you. I appreciate
but yeah,
that.
nah, you great, you wonderful, you definitely do a wonderful person. So just tell everybody like what you got coming up here in the near future that we need to look out for.
The near future, I wish I could disclose it, but it's on Apple TV. If you all stay locked and linked to my social media platforms, um, I don't know if they're text on your platform, but just stay locked to my social media because at the times when I am able to release the one project, it's a pretty big one and it's on Apple TV, so it's forthcoming. And then I have an episode on Beyond the Gates that's coming up as well. Um, and then I have a personal project entitled Double Minded. Is one of 5 short films that's going to premiere in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in New York now, but when I get back to Atlanta, I'm going to actually have a 5 screen, um, a, a premiere night for my production company. So all 5 of my short films will be shown at the premiere night. And then I have a red carpet premiere coming up for a project that's coming out soon called Lockdown, which is about an active shooter that
Mm,
invades a school. And so that's pretty
mm.
dope as well, considering what happened at the CDC. And so yeah, just keep a close eye on my socials, and I try to do what I can with promoting everyone's project, and then just definitely pumping out some new stuff, more things this summer. But yeah, stay tuned
Well,
to my.
well, well, definitely just send us everything because we do have a
Okay.
website, 168 Radio Network. So
Oh,
we have a website where we can put all your stuff on there, whether it's a banner, flyer, a video clip. You know what I mean? We have our radio station. So we have more than just what you see here. We have a
okay.
lot. We have a lot going on, to be honest with
Wonderful.
you. You know what I mean? So when we have a lot of different platforms, we can definitely promote your stuff on. So definitely just let us know and we'll support you as much as we can. If you got a big red carpet, if we can get it in our schedule, line it up, maybe we can come to one of your red carpets or
Yeah.
whatever it is to support you also.
Okay, that sounds
Mhm.
wonderful. I thank you all so much, and Definitely peace, love, and abundance for all that you're doing in your respective places as well.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You have a great and wonderful week.
All
And see
right.
you at the top, Queen.
Yes. See you later. Have a great night.
Brown skin girl, and she knew I was out to go and clear my mind.